Twitch had these like categories. It was like there was like a new age category, I think.
Sorry.
I know, I just saw you freak the fuck out. What was that? It's a ghost.
I swear to God, things have been flying at me, have been flown across my house, have just,
Do you feel
the
personally
welcome
attacked?
sign almost hit me in the face this morning.
It was the wind.
Literally, like, everything that was on the side of my desk, it just looked like somebody just pushed it all off my desk. And I was like, excuse me.
But it didn't move? Did it move?
When you sit down and somehow your Saturn square pokes you in the butt.
It was a charging cord.
Oh, a charging cord. I know, I just looked over and you were like freaking the fuck out.
It looked like somebody just shoved everything off the side of my desk. And I was like, turning into one of them.
Oh my God. I had a thing happen the other day. It's very vague.
Yes.
Okay, so you know how I'm always like, especially Scott knows this, I'm very like I don't yeah, right. Like I don't think my psychic abilities are like hot shit, you know what I mean? They're not like super, like I'm not a natural whatever, naturally inclined to that, whatever. Scott's the better medium than I am. So anywho, we were at Rue's mom's. We were dropping off seeds to grow some plants, save us some money. And so we dropped off some seeds and we just like kind of were just hanging out, chatting, whatever. And they were talking about a family member that had passed, long ago. And, as we were like sitting there talking, I was like, man, like that's the thing with it. Like I was thinking in my head, I was like, wow, like when you speak of the dead, like you speak them up, sometimes like they just kind of like appear or whatever, pass through. And it is an old family house too. So, the house is already kind of like spooky to begin with. So as we were in there talking, I was like, wow, speaking of the dead kind of speaks them up. And then I had this impression like someone was like kind of walking around the house, not like in like a bad way, just, just floating about the house. And then Ruth's mom was talking about like a card that someone had given her brother. And I got the impression that it was like a boat. Like the word boat came to my head and like a little picture of like a boat. And then Rue's mom started, was explaining it and was like, yeah, like it was like a sinking, like something about sinking. I was like, oh, was it like a boat on the card? And like, it was just the weirdest experience because like, I've never heard that story before. Like I've never heard her tell that because, sometimes people retell the same family stories over and over again, but I've never heard that story before. And so I had the impression of someone being there and then someone like implanting boat into my head. And I was like, she was there. Like she must have just appeared and been like, no, it was a boat. It was a boat in the card. Like that's like kind of like the impression that I got. So anyway, it was a thing, and that doesn't happen for me often. And I feel very witchy about it. And I feel like I leveled up. I feel like I gained some experience points.
But like I'm the better medium, I guess.
Right.
Just had a major psychic hit, but
you're more consistent than I am.
Like I didn't do it, right?
You're just more consistent, I guess.
Not lately.
No. To give some context, it sounds exactly like something that my Aunt Angel would do. She was my godmother, and she's the one ancestor that I have been closest with ever through this entire journey. And the fact that she sent a card with a sinking ship on it to my uncle who was dying of cancer. That was the context.
The kind of humor that they had. Yeah. I didn't know if you wanted to share that, so I left that
part. That's yeah, my uncle, he died of unfortunately of stage 3 lung cancer when he was 32 years old. And that's the kind of sick humor that my aunt, who also passed of cancer, so it's really just the synchronicity. But it just, and in that, while my mom and Jay are having this conversation, like I'm overwhelmed because like I can hear her and I can feel her and I can smell her and I'm like, okay, I'm a little overwhelmed right now. Like, what's going on? And then the whole interaction between Jay and my mom happened. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna sit here quietly and just. Oh, it was a great night at my mother's.
It was good though. I mean, it was yeah, it was a little. There was a little bit of dramatic discussions afterwards, but it was fine. It's fine. But yeah, so that was the thing. I really wanted to. I'm glad I just remembered that because I really wanted to talk about it.
That is really cool. I actually had a recent
Nice.
experience myself that freaked me the hell out. Actually,
That's hard to
the
do
other
for
night,
you.
because it was weird. I don't. You know what it is? Is like I don't mind when like spirit stuff is sort of like the incidents sort of are ethereal in nature. As
Mm,
soon as it starts to like affect like a building physically, I get weirded
cool.
out for some reason.
Like the
So
physical
what ended
Or
up
throw a
manifestations.
physical item.
So what ended up happening, I was waiting for Darian. I was on my computer downstairs. No, everyone was upstairs sleeping, and I was waiting for him to come home. And for context, for people that don't know who are listening, my partner is night shift and doesn't get home till like late,
Mm,
like 11:30 sometimes. But so I was up here. I was just like relaxing, and I was actually reading about the ancient Etruscan people
mm,
in what we now call Italy. And I was learning about like Etruscan paganism, and I found all sorts of interesting stuff. Um, and as I'm like relaxing, kind of not really thinking about ghosts or anything weird like that, I was just reading, and all of a sudden, this draft, but it sort of almost felt like it was coming through the wall, and not in like
mm,
a draft coming through the wall kind of way, but like it was moving the front of the house. Like my front of my house started creaking.
mm.
And I'm like, and it was getting louder, and I stood up because I'm looking, and like nothing's changing.
That's
But
interesting.
like just this consistent draft of cold air, and the whole front of the house sounded like it was like honestly I was getting like the rational part of me was like, is
Right.
the front of my house about to cave in? Like I was
Right. You're
getting
like,
nervous.
yeah, because I just read about like
Um,
a balcony collapsing in like Cape May.
right,
So
and I was so the rational part of me, I was like, I know my house is like not the best shape, so like I
right.
was like,
So you're
but
like, oh
you know,
shit.
I, right, but I didn't think I was like, come on now,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, I start walking towards like I mean not that I have much distance. I just had to clear my living room, which is not very big. And I got sort of very close to the front wall and the front window, and I was like, what the hell? And the next thing I know, I feel as if like something runs past me through the wall. Like it was weird. Like I kind of had to like whip around. I was like, what was that? And the next thing I know, again, there's this cold draft of air that sort of like goes through me, and I suddenly felt incredibly dizzy, and I was like, "Am I disassociating?" Because I try to like I
Right.
really do try to like rationalize first, right? Like I want to make sure that it's not mental health. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I was like, I sat down and I checked with myself, and I was like, "Are you guys, asking the altars?" I was like, "You guys acting up? Are you guys okay?" And they're like completely quiet. Nothing's going on. I was like, "All right, so this is odd." And then it kind of just dissipated. But what was weird was that at the same time this was happening, Darian is coming in, and he said when I was getting out of the lift, he said it looked like something jumped from our step to my neighbor's step and then jumped up. And he said it was like a tiny like little shadow. He said.
Hmm.
He's like, I couldn't make out what I was looking at. He said it was odd. And he didn't know, obviously, we weren't talking, we weren't communicating.
Yeah,
He had no
demons
clue.
running around out. Demons in
It was
South
so
Philly,
weird.
climbing
It was
people's
the
houses and
weirdest.
Hey,
shit.
demons, it's your
Hey
friend.
boy, it's your boy Demon up in your house, hopping on over to your neighbors. Sorry, I'm gonna have trouble with words all episode. I have COVID,
That
that's
was
why I'm
perfect.
super and quiet.
Oh no,
It was
I'm so
beautiful, beautifully
sorry.
That
done,
was
beautifully done, well executed. I'm very sorry
Humping
you
on
have.
over.
I
But
really commend you for hanging in here, Sophia. Even not having COVID. Are you using the new headphones, by the way? You're using them?
Yeah, can you hear a difference or no?
I can. Yeah, there is definitely a difference. I think it's because you're still using mobile too. So I mean, I think that will also contribute
I
to
mean,
quality.
it's Bluetooth, right?
Yeah.
And also here's the thing: it's not like I went and bought a Audio Technica microphone. I bought a
Right.
headphone,
Yeah.
right? And they
Yeah.
have a microphone in it for the purpose of making calls, but it's not like they're sitting down and trying to make it like a podcast quality one.
Yeah.
And even at that, if I were to purchase one of those, I need a desktop setup to run it through because ain't nobody making fucking Bluetooth podcast microphones, as far as I know. So
There might be, but they're probably not
and
great.
even then, I don't think it's ultimately what I need, because then, to be honest, I'd probably be sacrificing headphone usage to have a Bluetooth microphone on my phone, and at that point, I should just get a laptop or a
Yeah.
desktop. Sorry, but I'm waiting to move because we also got notice of eviction because our house sold. I mean, it's just it's so much shit. I got a confirmed case of COVID on the same week that our house sold. So
Ooh.
yeah,
How
it's
much
not fun.
time are you moving with your housemates? Like, are you all moving as
No,
one?
two of them are moving into a house with each other because
Okay.
they're dating and they want a
Mm.
2-bedroom, which is
Mhm.
completely understandable.
Mhm.
And I have yet to talk to the other roommate about it. But I don't know, they seem cool. I would definitely room with them if they're up for it.
Cool.
So yeah, I got a bunch of shitty news in a week.
Mm.
And I also only have 60 days from the end of the month to find a new place because the landlord refused to give us anything other than a monthly lease term so that they could do something like that to us, have us out on shortest notice possible.
Right.
So yeah, that's why we're stuck where we're at right
Gotta
Mm.
fucking love it.
The whole housing situation, like, we're very fortunate to be in the situation that we're in, and that's just what I say. The house I live in is old and crappy, and it has its issues, but it is a house, and it's got 4 walls and a roof, and utilities work. So,
Amen.
yeah,
Canada's housing
Blessed
market is a
fucking be.
special kind of unstable. Like
yes,
my roommates, 2 of them are American, and they said for a country this small, it is baffling that they have as unstable of a market as they do. Like
yeah.
there's no reason it should be as bad as it is in
We
Canada.
looked at we were checking out
It's fucked.
prices in Canada. No, because we were just once we got our passports, we were like, we can go anywhere. So we were just like, we started looking at
I
everything.
still haven't received my passport back from the U.S. government because
Mm-hmm.
they put the wrong fucking gender on the first application, on the
So
first
a
fucking
really
one.
Might not ever
a
get
really
that
big
back.
problem with the housing market in Canada is that they allow people to buy multiple houses without having an increase in tax bracketing that they should have to pay, which I think is utter horseshit. Like, first off, why should one person be able to own like 6 fucking houses and then landlord it out to all these people and like artificially seize up the market so that other
Yep.
people can't actually make purchases, right?
That's the
And a lot of
problem
people
here
want to act
too.
like it's like foreign investors, and it's really
It's
not.
not.
The guy who is behind like the original fucking gentrification that happened in Vancouver is the CEO of Lululemon, right?
Right.
And then he paid fucking people to set up. Actually, I can't say that. That might be slander because I don't have corroboration. But I'd heard that
No, that's true.
he was behind.
Easily
No,
found out on
because you
Google.
can't. No, like what I was gonna say, you can't without it being slander. But what essentially happened was people blamed like Chinese investment and like drew on racist fears of like Chinese people coming to take over fucking North America bullshit and made people think that like that's where the housing market was inflating from, when in reality it was like fucking Canadian corporate investors and like people coming in to gentrify neighborhoods and like
Yeah,
become landlords and
it
shit.
seems like a lot of the same issues that are happening in the US are also happening in Canada. Like
It's been happening here for quite some time, like a
yeah.
long fucking time.
Yeah, and I think just now it's starting to come to light more. Like, we're starting to hear more about it. And especially because when I know you are Canadian, so now I have I know someone who lives there, so of course I'm going to like be more clued in to like what's happening in Canada and stuff like that. So it does seem like it's very like it's a similar situation. So it like from an American perspective, I'm almost like, well, Canada don't seem much better. So is it it's like, is it fucking worth it to even try to like pick up your whole life and move out there? It just sucks we create all these rules and artificial rules for ourselves. I was thinking the other day, like, what if the United States
There's no
just broke
corner
up
of the
in a
world.
What are you saying?
Oh, hang on.
Mm.
There's no corner of the world where you can move to where capitalism will not affect you.
Yeah.
Right. And that's part of the problem is people have this dream of being able to get away from it all and just be like, what if we could just live in a place that doesn't have capitalism, as though like it's just magically going to stop getting worse everywhere else and extending into those places, right? Like, in my opinion, what typically we have to do is meet it with force wherever we're at, right? Because if you give it ground, it'll take ground, right? So I don't know. If
Kind of like
people, for
how do you stop the
example, who
spread?
oppose, it's like this: if you oppose anti queer legislation
Hmm.
and you're queer yourself, right? And people start having rhetoric that endangers you and your people. If you leave and just completely go away from that area, you personally will be safer. Yes.
Yeah,
But like ultimately, who's going to fight back against it, right?
that is
Who's
true.
going to counter the narratives that like you people are harmful just by existing, right? Like traditionally speaking, how a lot of bigots are changed is by exposure to people of the groups that they claim to hate, right? If you constantly give them spaces just at like the first drop of their rhetoric, you're effectively allowing them to create echo chamber spaces where they can draw out more recruitment and spread more wrongful ideas without opposition, and just giving them like a haven to do so in, you know?
That's kind of just like I kind of feel that way a little. Like I live in a very liberal city, like so Philly itself is pretty liberal. So I don't. So like when I hear about like these anti-drag bills and like shit like that, or people blocking gender affirming care, they're all in states that I don't live in. And so it's not that I don't want to sit here and say like, well, it doesn't affect me, so I don't care. But it's actually kind of like doubly upsetting for someone like me because I have this problem where I think I need to save the fucking world. And so like I'm like, damn, like I live in this like liberal city and like I don't have to worry about that as much as other people in other states. And it just like it just makes me feel that much more like sad and just enraged. But then like people will be like, well, why are you so mad about it? It doesn't affect you. It's like, but it does affect me because it can very easily become a domino effect. And that's what people don't
Yeah.
realize.
And I'm not saying people shouldn't like flee an area where their life is in danger, right? Because like you ultimately know what's best for you. And sometimes there isn't anything that you can do in a certain area to make a meaningful change from the inside. And you do need to prioritize your survival to get out to be able to make a change from the outside.
Yeah,
Right?
get out,
And I
find your
understand
people,
that
go
too.
back in a group or or something like that, or work from the outside or however.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's difficult. I know the world's a scary place right now, so that's why I advocate everybody learning magic so they can fight back on some kind of fucking level, right?
I'm just very confused at like this sort of it almost feels like regression. I don't know. I just thought that like as humanity developed and whatnot, it would become more progressive.
We
Like
have.
we would, and we have from how we were. But I thought by this point maybe we'd be a little further along because it seemed like
E-
in the early '90s, 2000s. I don't know. Like it just seems like like so gay people are fine. Like people are like kind of okay with gay people, but right now it's like trans people in particular. And I guess drag queens by association, because I think honestly cishet people just think the two are the fucking same at this point. But I'm not even gonna get into that. But it just seems like trans people in particular are now the ones being targeted. Like everyone's like, all right, like be gay, do your gay thing, whatever. But trans people, changing your it's got surgeries on children. No, it's not like that. And that I don't know how can you combat that rhetoric, because everyone just latches. People are stupid. Like people are fucking stupid, and they will latch on to it, and they'll just be like, "Well, yeah, that's just the truth. That's it."
I have answers if you want them.
Yeah, I'm curious to
Join a
know.
fucking
Share with the
group.
class.
If you ever feel like you don't have power by yourself, join an angry mob. Like, you think I'm
Yes.
joking, but I'm not. Anytime people feel like they're powerless, don't forget that if you get enough of you together and you become a committee, you can fucking shake the heavens in our world, right? Historically speaking, nothing gets shit done like an angry mob.
Unfortunately, yeah.
True.
I was gonna say, did I lag out here because everybody
No,
froze?
no, you're
Um,
good. No, we all just took a moment to reflect. We were like, yeah,
join a union, join a fucking coven, join a group, join an org, like make some serious fucking change out there. Roll your sleeves up, right? Ultimately, we have progressed as a human race a lot, and
Mhm.
that's why we're seeing the kickback, because these ideas and these people have been there all along, and they know a fundamental fact that we know as well. We can't coexist. You can't have fucking Nazis who want to run the world as rulers coexisting with people wanting to build a utopia. We're
Right.
fundamentally opposed. They see it
Mhm.
as a zero-sum game. That's why they're so aggressive to us, and to the point where they try and exterminate us, because they know for a fact we don't have to raise a single hand against them. But if we keep on a long enough timeline, we win, and we will not exist in the same world as them, and they know it.
So it's
And
more
we
about
can
the
get
long
rid of
game.
them just by fucking talking to people, opening their hearts, and having people see the humanity that they deny themselves. That's it. It's not even a fucking physical fight, you know? But they want it to be, because then it's something that they feel tangible control over, because they're slowly slipping away. They have less power now than they've ever had. Sure, they like seem scary because they're out in the open now. You got to remember that like fundamentalists have been plotting this shit for ages, right?
Well,
People have
yeah.
been sounding off about this for at least 10 years, that this was going to happen.
Mm.
And now that it's here, it seems like, oh no, we've gone backwards. But really, that's the shit that's always been there. And
Was
we're
like
coming
we're
face to face with our human shadow, you know? We're
right.
reckoning with all the dark aspects of human existence that for so long we have pretended like do not exist and do not affect us, right?
Mm.
And so like we're collectively growing the fuck up as a species, you know?
Mm.
And it's gonna hurt. It's gonna involve screaming matches just like it does in fucking puberty, right?
Mm.
And it's gonna have people dedicated to ideas that don't make sense, because they have to see firsthand that they don't make sense. And once they do, there's hope for anybody, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But they ultimately want us to feel hopeless. They want us to feel like we have to fight them. They want us to feel like they're winning, because they're constantly actively losing, and they have been for a very long time now, because there's a lot fucking more of us than there ever will be of them.
Yeah, and it just seems like because we had kind of talked about, because I remember the last episode, I was feeling very depresso and not hopeful. And kind of after we talked the last time, like it all sounded so like sometimes in my head I was like, wow, sometimes it just sounds so cliche. Like you have to have hope, and it just sounds like a line from Star Wars or something
You don't
like
even
that.
have to have hope. You just have to not give up. You don't have to believe that you'll win. Sometimes not believing that something good is going to happen is the best thing you can do for yourself. Like with me and giving up like on needing a relationship, capital N, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It doesn't mean I won't have it happen when it comes, but I sure as fuck am not spending my life worrying about it, right?
I
if
think,
if you're not somebody who's going to be the person who's doing the fight, you don't even need to hope. You just need to hold on.
yeah, and I definitely agree with that. Like I was thinking, like I was kind of, we had some friends over yesterday. I know we were talking about all kinds of queer topics and whatnot, and we had kind of gotten into talking about just like kind of like, okay, so being trans for me, yes, I am trans, but like it's not my entire identity. It's not
Hmm.
the entire part of who I am. Realistically, it was like coming to terms with the fact that I was trans was kind of just like this really big hurdle that I had to overcome so I could be comfortable with myself, so that way I could just move on with the other things I'm trying to accomplish in life. So like trying to
Hmm.
accomplish the things that I was doing while trying to like pretend I was this like butch woman, it just was not working. It just wasn't working out. And so by transitioning, like I've become more confident in myself. And also I think, I hate to say it, but like sometimes I think in the workplace in particular, sometimes that male privilege comes in because now I pass, like that's a
Hmm.
whole other conversation. But I think part of it is also because I found a decent company. The company I work for is pretty decent, just across the board about diversity, equity, inclusion across the board. There's a lot of most of our senior management are women, so I can't really say anything against my company in particular. But I just think like it's just like it's not who I am. Like, I don't go to work every day and be like, "Hey guys, remember, I'm trans. Hi,
In
I'm
fact, you'd rather people don't think about it on a
right."
consistent basis because
Like,
it would make your life harder.
right. And I think, like, as queer people, the more that we, I hate using the word insert ourselves into society because it makes it sound like we're fucking sleeper agents, but like in a way it almost feels like we have to be sleeper
Speak
agent,
for yourself.
like sleeper agents for the good, you know, like sleeper agents for the cause, because like you just insert yourself into the normie society, right? And you work your job and you do your thing and you go to the store and you buy your groceries and you just form these relationships with all these regular people, you know. And then all of a sudden, maybe like in a conversation it comes out like, oh, you're trans. Maybe it comes out that you're trans or something like that in a conversation, right? And a lot of times, if you've built like a rapport with that person, and they're like, oh, I didn't know, and like it doesn't matter. Like usually, because you've built such a good relationship with them, they're just like, oh, okay, like
Neat.
you being trans, yeah, it's just like you being trans doesn't affect me. That's interesting. Like. You're still a good person and you still do your job and blah 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 blah. So in a way I just feel like I know I'm picking up in your mic again. I'm really trying not to be
swear
that
to
loud.
fucking God, I literally turned my sensitivity all the way down so that it didn't pick you up.
I know. I don't talk that loud. I really don't.
I know you don't.
I know. Yeah, I just think, you know, it's just like, especially, or it just says anyone who's sort of like an alternative doesn't fit the normie description. Like, just the more that we insert ourselves into this society, and like, if we don't focus on the fact that we're trans, why should you? Right? Like, isn't that?
Let me
It's
just say, I
funny.
love being trans. I love being singled out every single day for something that I have zero control over.
Oh, it's the best. There are some.
It's the best.
I don't know, but there are
I mean-
people though that kind of like to. Anyway, you were saying, Scott?
I was just gonna say,
Isn't-
Scott, do you realize you've been mic'd and you've been muted this whole time? I hope.
Yeah. Well, I'm also next to a electric cat water dish thing, and I don't want it. I don't want the hum.
Oh, you're in your kitchen.
Yeah.
Feel that.
But I mean, isn't that kind of the point, right? Like the whole idea was like, we just want to exist.
Yes.
Like we're not asking like how do I put this? Like I'm happy to be queer. You know what I mean? Like I enjoy my queer experience. All of it, every last part of it. And but like you said, Jay, it's like it's a facet of me. It is a part of me, but it is only a small portion of multitudes of things that I have about myself that I find interesting or that I find are hurdles to overcome or you know, like I have so much, you know, just like
Right.
everyone else.
A whole laundry list of things you're trying to accomplish before, you know, you expire.
Right. Like in some ways being queer is the least interesting thing. Like I mean
Yeah.
it's fun for me, but in the scope of my life it is not, you know, it's
Yeah.
It's
you know, like
it's
Magic. Isn't that more impressive?
right. Like the fact that you're like a fucking wizard, like isn't that more like
which is
You'll
also
care
a
more
big
about the
problem
fact that I'm
nowadays,
queer.
you know. Considering the rise of, you know, the second satanic panic and all.
Oh, see, I can't even
I'm not too worried
pay
about
them
that
anymore.
one.
I'm
You know what? If that
literally
second
not worried.
satanic panic is even worth its salt, they're gonna be cooing about DKMU, but they ain't. So I don't give a shit.
I mean, a lot of people have said that it's just it looks different because times have changed because we're all online now. And the original Satanic Panic, the OG, was pre-internet.
Pre-internet, yeah, it was the 80s.
So the
yeah.
reason why it looks different is because we're online.
Not gonna lie though, like I get a little spooked out with like people actually truly knowing a fair amount about the chaos magic movement. Like I don't know if y'all pay attention to SCP at all, but I was watching creepypastas from it earlier. It's Secure, Contain, Protect. And in it, like, they talk about consensus reality and, like, the group that's opposed to the SCPs that actually want to disclose the existence of paranormal shit are called the Chaos Insurgency.
Oh my
Um,
god.
it's pretty fucking on the nose, you
Oh
know?
shit.
That's
Yeah.
that's
So
something else.
There's been a lot of talk if the original creators question mark of that franchise might be interested in some form of chaos magic. It's
I
been
mean,
speculated.
it's pretty apparent. I don't read a lot of that
Kind of bring
SCP
like
stuff.
a real occultism into fiction,
Mm,
which has been done
that's
before.
what I want
Occult
to do.
It
fiction and
happens
stuff
all the
like that.
time. Like,
Mm,
Yeah.
D&D uses fucking actual goetic demons as enemies, and
mm.
they're like,
Yep.
"Oh, we're fighting Asmodeus," and I'm like, "Fucking what now?"
Asmodeus.
Asmodeus.
Satanas.
Satanus. Lucifer. Sorry, can't help it.
Copyright
Since I was letting
infringement.
everybody weigh in
Ah!
on the earlier topic about the whole I'm trans, it's not my entire existence.
Mm,
Yeah, like
it's not.
I don't know. Even when other trans people tell me that they're trans, I'm like,
Cool.
cool. It's like, yeah, rad, awesome.
That was
And they're like,
also
hey.
it was another I guess I'm gonna be very vague about this, but anyway, so we were hanging out with some friends and they were kind of like talking about like they used to hang out with another queer group and kind of like it seemed like in their queer group it was just a lot of like it seemed like those folks made being queer their whole identity, right? And so like just it was just very
Okay.
like I'm more gay than you, I'm more trans than you, I'm more this than you, I am. And it almost just seemed like a pissing contest of who had the hardest life, who had the hardest queer life. And like what my friend was saying was like, I had to kind of distance myself after a while because it became like I'm not in a pissing competition with you of who had the hardest queer life. I'm just like relating to you. Like when you say you had it
Yeah.
tough, I'm just like, yeah, man, like I went through this. That fucking sucks for both of us, you know? And so
Yeah.
like when we were hanging out, like it was we were just like talking and it wasn't like our queerness was not the focus of what we were doing. It was just kind of like sometimes it would like intersperse like just like funny things like we were cracking up one of the dudes. He's actually the only like straight dude in the group. He's so funny. We always mess with him all the time, but I'm like, he's not like a twink or like a bear, he's like a twunk. Like we were just like laughing and he was taking it in stride and it was good. But like so there's like queer elements to us and our conversation. Of course, it's our community, it's our vernacular, it's what we're talking about, but it's not like the focus. And I don't know how and so what my friend was saying was like she was saying like this is like this is a different vibe than that other group that I was hanging out with. And I was like, this is just real. Like it's just being trans is not all that I am. I am trans, yes, but it's not my whole life. I'm a nerd. I'm a witch. I'm stressed about work. Whatever. Like it's not. It's.
I've encountered something that I want to call trans Wikipedia phenomenon, and you don't
Ooh.
necessarily get it with as much younger trans people, but in the older generation, especially among people who consider themselves like community leaders, there very much seems to be this desire to be one of the remembered ones, like I need my Wikipedia page, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like you get those people who are like they got to be friends with like Jennifer Finley Boylan and like other famous transgender theorists from like way back in the day. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Well, the whole
And
I watched I Am Kate, and the best part about that show was Jenny Boylan and all the other trans women that were her mentors through her whole experience.
sure,
Which no trans woman ever gets. That is, it has a bunch of mentors, and if you are, you're very lucky and blessed. But anyway,
I never watched that show, so I don't know what happens in it. But
basically, like they tell Caitlyn Jenner to not be a fucking asshole towards trans people, and then she continues to be an asshole towards trans people while she goes on her trans journey. Anyway,
great,
yeah,
love it.
that's the whole show.
Don't actually love it. That's sarcasm for those who
Yeah.
cannot read. Because I can't always read sarcasm either. Anyways, like like to quote somebody who I used to hang out with in like a trans friends group, like, yeah, I'm trans, but that's not my entire identity. Like I'm not looking for friends specifically just because they're trans. And not everybody seems to like step away from that kind of space, because I know when we're all coming out, we have that need, like, I gotta find my people, you know,
Yeah,
I
you
gotta
gotta
find
find your tribe kind
other
of feeling.
trans friends who understand, right? And it's not even a
Mhm.
matter of like have them be your friends so that you can explicitly talk about trans shit, but like there is a certain type of closeness that happens in relationships with other people who just completely fucking understand what you're going through, right?
Exactly.
So some of my closest trans friends are just literally the people I play Destiny with. And
Mhm.
we don't talk about much aside from like just what's going on in our personal lives, what we think is funny at the time, and what's going on in the game, right?
Right, and
And
occasionally it'll be like, oh, I'm, maybe getting a surgery or a procedure or something.
sure, you'll hear about what someone's going through, but no one's
Mhm.
sitting there like being like, "Have we discussed gender theory today?" And it's like, no, we haven't. Please do not. Thank you.
No, but you have to remind your friends though. Take your shot. Is it your shot day? Do your shot.
Sure,
Also,
yeah.
Take your
a
meds,
heads
do your
up,
shot.
most queer people have not read any theory at all. So we
We
like to
live
pretend
it.
like we do.
Well, I mean, that's why I said younger generations, because, like, let me tell you, older generations will fucking browbeat you if you haven't read it. Like, I fucking thought
Gotta do
reading
your
Whipping
homework.
Girl was like a fucking gender requirement. Anyways,
Oh shit! I know. Well, I lack in a lot of my gender. I don't know what would be
did
the
you read
male.
any Barris Bergman?
No,
Yeah, I see.
no.
I know my
See,
shit.
I
I
told
told you
you.
I read theory. I told you I read theory.
A lot of us don't.
No, I'm a bad guy.
Look, I was a Vancouver queer, okay? You get taught stuff. They will take you to the anarchist bookstore whether you like it or not.
Should we have a queer theory episode? Scott, would
I
you?
don't think so.
Let me just dip out real quick.
We can teach people how to be queer.
Oh
If you want to be
God.
queer, this is how
I
you
don't
do
know
it.
about
Can we
that.
please?
I
can we
don't
Do like
please
a
bring
whole
in, like,
a whole joke class, like, so you want to be a queer?
Step 1, find another gay. Step 2, flirt. Step 3,
do so
profit.
awkwardly.
Profit.
Question mark, not exclamation. Question. Except that's actually how to be a callboy 101.
We all aspire.
Episode 100, everybody.
I love it. I know we didn't even
Call
mention in the
boys and-
beginning that it was episode 100. So here it is, smack dab in the middle of the episode
I mean,
100.
it's on the title. You saw it coming in.
It
You
is,
knew what you were
yeah.
in for when you were
You
listening
knew
to this
Exactly.
podcast. Like, episode 100, are they going to theme it?
We're
Nah, they're
talking
just
to
going to
the
fucking
people
raw
of the
dog it off the
past.
cusp.
Yeah, we
Here we
raw
are.
dog every episode. I would love to say that we're an organized podcast, but y'all know we're not. So, you know what I saw the other day, and it made me so happy. It made my little witch heart sing. I poked around the DKMU server. Sometimes I poke around the different channels in there and stuff. And I saw someone who's like in the general chat, and they're like, "Oh, like, hey, introducing themselves." Yeah, there's like the introductions channel or something. They're like, "Hey, I'm so from."
It's help interrogation, actually.
So it was. They were like, "Oh, hey, I'm so from like PA," and I was like, "Oh, cool, like a PA person." And then I scrolled, kept reading, and they were like, "Hey, I heard about you through this podcast." And I was like, "I wonder, was it our podcast?" And it fucking was. And I was like, and then like all these other, like a couple other people were like, "Oh yeah, like which is Betwixt, like they're cool people, like they talk about DKMU a lot and shit." And I was like, I'm making an impact.
Exactly.
You have been.
Exactly. And that's exactly.
Yes.
TBH, I've said this before. You're completely a marauder in most people's eyes. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be. You read the books, you do the stuff. You straight up fucking tag shit and put it on the goddamn LS map.
I
man.
put it on the map. I know, I saw that in the channel too. The one person was like, "Jay, use the map," and I was like, "I fucking love the map. Why are you all not using the map? Use the fucking map."
People are I don't know. I'm not gonna make generalizations.
It's okay. It's all good. As long as you're tagging, that's what matters. But I'd really you to use the map.
But yeah, you like, and you even like dead ass buy the fucking books and read the books. Do you know how many people we have who will be like, yeah, I was part of DKMU until they kicked me out. It's like, bro, you came in and you fucking treated us like shit and begged for money, and then when people helped you out, you spat in their faces as you left. You
If
know,
you
and
get
those
kicked
people
out of the
and those
pirate
people will
port,
be like,
you fucked
I
up.
gave my pound of flesh, you know, and it's
Yeah.
like,
Shut up.
Jay over here is actually doing all this shit and doesn't make any of the bullshit claims that you do. So I don't know. You're
I
fucking legit.
I
Don't
do
uninterest.
truly consider myself like I don't post a lot in like the channels and stuff, but I do know like the work that I'm doing and what I'm putting out into the world is very much the work of the Marauder, and I really do consider myself one. I do. I
It's always been
definitely.
choose your own level of involvement, and if you
Mhm.
consider yourself a marauder, you are. So welcome, brother.
My
Wait, no, welcome, comrade.
my initiation right is the 100th episode of.
This is the episode where Jay comes out as a dick moo.
Right.
Oh,
In case
God.
y'all didn't know already. I know I literally have like a link just right to DKMU like on the which is Betwixt website. No, it's probably the thing that's spoken to me the most. And what's cool is like it's not something that like I have to just be a chaos magician and work only in this. It's like no, it's about making the world more magical. Study all magic, study all magical forms, study everything that is fucking interesting to you, and maybe study things that aren't interesting to you. Maybe they'll become interesting. I don't know. Do whatever
You
you want.
fucking said it, man. Dead ass. Like that's a huge element of the group. It's not like about you have or haven't done this shit, therefore you're precluded from it. No, it's about what are you doing that you enjoy that you can bring to the table in a meaningful way.
Because we talked about that
That's
before.
it.
Like not everyone's good at everything magically. You know.
Fuck, most people aren't good at many things beyond a very specific set of few things they're quite decent in.
So play to your strengths.
Which is actually quite normal, actually. Like, I know, like, from like a cunning folk perspective, there were like people who were really good at like Malefica and getting justice. So there were people who were good at healing, and then there were people who were like really good at There's a third one. I think it's like green.
Theurgy?
There's like I forget what it is. What's her name? Gemma Gary separates it into green cap, red cap, and black cap. And each one sort of has like a function. But when you read through the folklore, it makes a lot of sense. Like just outside of Gemma Gary's work, you find that like not every witch was skilled at everything. You know, like if you could heal, there were times you may know how people are cursed, but you may not do curse work yourself. You were better at removing it than actually doing it. Like, you know, so yeah, that's why sometimes I have problems with the idea of like, you know, if a witch can't curse, they can't heal thing. I was like, that's not what. That's not always.
There's some weird things. Some people can absolutely work both hands, for example, right? There's even terms for that in different practices, right? And there's some people who will explicitly work the left hand. And I use left hand as a term because I find it's better than like, black magic, white magic, with like obvious connotations of like
evil.
You can see it. I don't need to spell it out for you. Pretty bullshit. Anyways, so that's why I like left hand, right hand. It's a loose generalization, yes, but it's a somewhat useful one, right?
So like, it's the gist of what you're talking about.
Right. But like with the type of shit that I do, if I do healing magic much more than I do curse magic, right? In fact, I'd say I'm not the greatest at curse not the greatest. I'm not even that great at curse magic, right? Like I can smite. Like Scott said curse and justice magic in there. I can justice magic plenty fucking well. But I need like divine fury to do it, right? I can't smite somebody who hasn't truly done wrong, right? But curses you can throw at fucking anybody even because they slight you, right? And that's part of why I feel like personally I'm not that good at it for whatever reason.
Are you a forgiving person?
I don't have like I want to say chutzpah, but I don't know what that word means. It's probably going to be inaccurate to use. but I just don't have the gusto to curse like other people do, right? Like
Mhm.
that pitch of tar inside me. But I got that golden radiant light that I can channel into a fucking smite. If you have truly wronged me or my people, I can lash out like a motherfucker and slap somebody. I wouldn't say that I'm like on par with some people who do it continuously because they're really good at it, but I can certainly do it, right?
I think
But
for
I'm still better at healing.
curse work for me is always better with another practitioner or practitioners, especially someone who's maybe like so like what I can really do with curse work is I can really lend my energy into it, especially if it's something that's really affecting me as well. Like we had a heckler with Pagan Pride a couple years ago, and we needed to get this person out of the picture before the event happened, kind of this situation. And so, me, Scott, and Darian, and I don't know if were you there, Rue? I really can't remember. I
It
don't know
was
if you
the
were.
three of us.
Great
There was the three of
question.
us. I don't think
It
Rue
was
was
the
there. I
three
think
of
you were
I
at
think I
work.
was at work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did something, and well, he didn't show up, so that was fine.
And
But
now we
it
think
was
he's dead, so maybe it really worked.
He's not dead. No, that's the protester guy.
Oh,
I
we're talking
thought
about
that.
somebody else.
Yeah, we're talking about somebody else, somebody completely different.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I know, right? So there's two stories I guess I'm talking about simultaneously. There was a guy who was a part of another pagan sort of group that was heckling us and trying to bait us into saying that we were a political group when we're fucking not. Anyway, and I was like, this guy needs to go. Like, he cannot show up. I'm so annoyed with him. And so me, Scott, and Darian dealt with that, and he didn't show up. So that was great. But the other thing that we're talking about, the guy who may or may not be dead, is there was a protest group. There's sort of like a Westboro Baptist style group, I guess.
Popular here in
in this little
Philadelphia area.
Yeah, and I think they've gone as far south as Maryland at this point.
They have stretched. Yeah, they have.
But anyway, so they show up with their fucking signs. They have like different kits depending on what they're protesting. Like when they first came to Pagan Pride, they accidentally brought the gay protesting kit because they saw Pride and they didn't know what paganism was. So they were like, "Oh, fuck the gays!" The first time they came here, and we were like, "Are you fucking serious?" And then so they started coming year after year. But when we, because in 2020, obviously we didn't have an event; it was just virtual. So then in 2021 and 2022, when we came back, to having an in-person event, we were ready for them to show up, but they never showed. They didn't protest our event. They usually protest our event every year. And then there was like rumors going around that the dude, like the dude that ran that group, like died of COVID. Like that's the rumor, but I haven't been able to confirm that. So, but he hasn't shown up for the past 2 years. So I don't know.
I also stand by that Byron did some crazy old Appalachian stuff, and
well, yeah, because that was
staying power of Byron Ballard. I don't know.
That was 2019. That was 2019.
Scares me.
Right?
Nothing like that.
I watched that woman fly out of her chair so fast. I was like, my head spun around. She whipped out of her chair and she like spat in her hand or something like that, and was just like running. I was like,
spits in her hand and she walks up, and I remember everyone just stopped and was like,
everyone's like,
elder coming through.
Yeah. Everyone just paved the Red Sea.
Like, nope. Whatever she's about to do, I don't want to get hit with it.
So maybe it's a combination. I don't know. Maybe it's a combination of that, and maybe COVID caught the guy, and I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
But he hasn't showed up.
Sounds like someone we should have on the podcast.
Oh, I would love to have Byron on the podcast. Oh, that would be amazing. She's very busy though, and very very sought after.
I assume that anybody who shows up on like the really big circuit pagan track is impossibly hard to get a hold of.
Probably, yeah. I really want to get Jinx Monsoon on the show.
That would be so fun.
I just really want her on the show. I know she's so busy. Like,
oh right,
Jinx
practices
Jinx,
the occultism.
Yeah, and like we actually went to
the occultism.
The occultism.
Look,
the other isms.
Well, what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we saw. I don't know if we said the last episode, but yeah, we went to New York to go see Chicago on Broadway, and Jinx was playing Matron Mama Morton. So that was awesome to get there to see that. But like,
If I could, if I could send a message out into the universe, and that somehow, some way, this would reach Jinx Monsoon's ears. I love you. I was in the front row at your 2:30 show on February 11th, and you are my icon, you are my idol, you are just everything that a human person should be, and if you wanted to come on our podcast, that would, like, change my life. So I'm just sending that out in the universe.
I feel like your moms are always like, write a letter to Ellen, you know, or like that's like their thing.
I'm gonna
That's
write a letter.
that's their
I'm a
go-to.
fan, Ellen. I don't know. I don't like people who hang out with hawkish war
I
imperialists.
agree. Ellen has had a bad look as of late. She's one of the older gays. Old rich gays kind of bother me.
Yeah,
I have issues
they
with them.
lose touch with reality if they were even in touch with it in the first fucking place.
Yes. Oh, I did want to clarify that I think I misquoted Jeffree Star's fucking bullshittery last episode, just in case he decides to sue us. So he didn't say conservatives like me, like as in he was saying that he was a conservative. What he was saying is that conservatives like him, like as in like they like him, even though he's liberal, and I don't know if he's liberal, whatever. He's gay. They like gays like him. Conservatives like gays like him, I should say, because of his hot takes on gender and whatnot. But yeah, so whatever.
There we go. Now we won't get sued because we have updated it in the most recent version.
Yeah, but he still sucks. Anyway, still shitty.
Yeah, we're still legally allowed to call you a twat.
Yeah. So
I have spent enough money on your products, Jeffrey. This is another announcement out to the universe. I have spent enough money on your products, Jeffrey, and I have.
How dare!
Have been your most vocal supporter.
How dare!
Fuck you.
Yeah. That's a big fuck you.
Sincerely,
Jeffrey.
From a they them person.
Hey Jeffrey, I never spent any money on you. I could see that one coming.
You know what sucks is like Jeffree Star came out with this like album. Like there isn't like he actually came out with an album fucking years ago. Like this was like MySpace era. It's actually good.
I'm over here singing one of the songs and it makes me angry.
I know.
I was like, now I can't listen to that either.
I know. Like
y'all
the line...
underestimate severely the amount of spite I can possess if I don't like someone's stancing politically or like what they've done. I've never listened to a Jeffree Star song ever or bought any of.
In my defense, I actually was never a Jeffree Star stan.
I never bought the
watched
music
their channel or anything. I stumbled upon it because I have this I have this thing where I really like to listen to queer musicians. And I try to listen to queer musicians a lot. Just to give them my viewership, to give them, my interaction and all that. And I kind of through that came upon
you stumbled
Jeffree
upon
Star,
it, yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, this is catchy, and it's sassy and whatever. But
like you're sleeping in a Louis Vuitton body bag, like that's a line. That's a good line. I like it.
Yeah, it's so sassy.
He had Nikki on one of his songs.
Yeah, Nikki before she was even famous. Yeah.
She's problematic in her own right.
I think what it is, it just...
Thank you for pointing that out, because I just was doing the Office meme where I stare into the camera, because I know all the problematic shit people are doing, and I've gotten to the point where I'm tired of calling it out because people just get mad at me for calling out people's problematic shit, so I just like stare at the camera and do like the one dude's face. I think his name's Kevin. Just the whole...
I think
the meme. You've seen it.
It's been a bummer. Like it's honestly been a huge bummer because it's like I can look at Jeffree Star's album and be like, okay, objectively the songs are bangers. Yeah, they're catchy songs. But like given everything that's really come to light recently, because like for a while, I was like, well, I don't know, is he that bad? This and that. I think everyone hits a point, you know what I mean, with people with things that they say. So like that for me was like, all right, Jeffree, well, you're not really hiding it anymore, are you? For me, that was the telling sign. And so I'm like, well, I guess
go have lunch with Caitlyn.
Yeah, go have lunch with Caitlyn Jenner. And I'm just like, well, I guess that's it, huh? I guess we're just not going to be listening to your music. Like ever since, like for example, Marilyn Manson. has been problematic for years, has always been a problematic figure, right? But I
Mhm.
always liked the music, and I was like, well, I don't know. I
No,
never.
I boycotted his ass too. I was like, oh, what's that? You're gonna say racism is made up and not real? Bye bye out of my music collection, motherfucker.
Yeah, and when a lot of
Yep.
like the more recent things came up to light, I think within the past couple of years, um, I
The
just
SA stuff.
yeah, I was just with
Oof.
but with Evan Rachel Wood and everything, and I was like, because it
Why
really
am I
it
not
disturbed me because I was like, I was like, wow, the video for Heart Shaped Glass is like, what an interesting risque
Oh,
video that was, and
and
then
we
I
loved disposable teens, didn't we?
yeah, and
Oh, we sure did.
like I love controversial shit. I love when people push the envelope with music and videos. Like I love it. You know what I mean? Like I've been a metalhead goth kid since forever, and
Mhm.
I love fucked up shit, but I like it when it's not actually fucked up and it's just like artistically fucked up. You know what I mean? Like when
Yeah,
it's fake fucked up.
like that one song, the one music video from that Japanese metal band called Duran Gray.
Mm.
They have a really
Uh,
fucking terrifying. I
uh,
love the video. I love it so much, but it's terrifying. It's like watching a horror movie. And another video that comes to mind was Bird from the Worm. Uh,
Mm.
uh, where he falls into the couch. He's kind of like gets sucked in. He like falls into like a pool
Mm-hmm.
and all that. It's kind of like this eerie sort of you're in his head, and he's sort of manic and you know like I don't know. I like that. I like that kind of thing that was
Yeah, like
normal in
sometimes music.
the early 2000s.
Right, and like music and art come from dark places. Like there's no denying that, right? Like there's
Right. Oh
no
yeah,
Well,
for
getting
sure.
around that. But it's also
it
like,
doesn't. They don't intrinsically have to, but they often do.
yeah.
Right.
But then like when the everything came out with Manson, I was just like, oh, fuck. And then like, cause like I was like, oh well, can I still listen to his music objectively? And like, so I would listen to like a playlist, and then like a Manson song would pop up on the playlist, and I'd be like, nah, thumbs down. Like, or I would just like
Fuck
remove
that
it.
guy.
Yeah, I was just like,
Yeah,
Mhm.
I can't enjoy it anymore because
mm-hmm.
I'm like,
I did the same thing with Katy Perry. Fuck her.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't listen to her
What's
either.
her deal? What's her problem?
Oh, she votes conservative. That's all I know.
Okay, I can lay it out. She's conservative. She has stagehands talking about her physically like groping them without consent,
Oh, I
and
have
like
heard
she does a lot of like
she's a little too
really
touchy
bad consent
feely.
shit, and she just thinks
she
she
like
can do
forced
whatever
herself
she
on that kid
wants
on
in
American
those
Idol.
regards. Yep, that was one of the ones. That was a perfect
Yeah.
example of the bullshit Katy Perry does that we are
Mm.
not okay with.
Mm.
And then she's also really, really fucking appropriative in a lot of her music without actually like giving anything like I've
True,
watched
yeah.
a lot of videos about this stuff, right?
Mm.
There's certain people who will do music that other people might consider appropriative, but are actually like really beloved in the community. Like,
Mm.
if you heard of the group Run the Jewels,
Never heard of them.
one of the main two guys, he's a white dude, right? Nobody's coming after this guy at all because he's like involved with the community, genuinely gives a fuck, and like makes a difference. And his art, like he's part of something that actually like means a lot to a lot of people. He's not like doing it for some fucking cash grab or some like demographic appeasement of a corporation. He's fucking doing
He's
what's
doing
his
it because
art with
that's what
his friend.
he's devoted his life to. That's his life's work.
And exactly, right? And like that's done in a very different way as opposed to like Katy Perry coming in and like lifting a whole bunch of like hip hop sounds and like African symbolism in her music videos without actually giving credit, or it's nasty. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair. It really bums me out when, especially, I guess I don't know if it's like, have these people always been like this, right? Because it seems like there's like this
Probably.
trend of like people that we've loved or grown up with, and they all of a sudden come out with these really problematic views. I don't know if it's fame and money that sort of is the corrupting factor, or maybe the seeds of this were already there, and maybe this is
Can
just
I be
how
dead
they
ass
are.
honest with you? I
Sure.
don't think it's really that much either. It's that racism is innocuous and it's deeply ingrained into a lot of people to the point where they don't think that they're doing something that's racist. And talking about it automatically causes an adverse response because it's the cognitive dissonance thing we talked about, right?
Right.
So like I, for example, like I said, I don't call people out about shit as much as I do these days because
You get a lot of
like
pushback.
it fucks up my interpersonal relationships a lot of the time to be that person who's like constantly calling shit out. I won't let stuff that crosses a line fucking go without being said. But on like the grounds of talking to people about microaggressions that they're then going to get mad at me about and fucking microaggress me over, I don't have the fucking spoons for it anymore.
Yeah.
Right? I don't have the energy and the charisma to mitigate the damage it does to my interpersonal relationships because I don't have the conversational grace to handle those things with this care that they need all the time. And people will get mad at me for it. So, like, dead ass honest, even people that I'm friends with will say things that I feel like I can't call them on. And then when that shit gets emboldened by people and they sometimes cross a line that you wanted to believe they weren't already crossing, it's not that they suddenly became something. It's that the pre-existing biases have reared their head at that point, right?
Mm.
And it's like a society-wide problem because trying to talk to people about it very often is met with defensiveness rather than a willingness to work on oneself, right? And that's usually all that's being asked in most cases, right? But it becomes such a battle that like people are like, well, fuck it, I'm not even going to talk to them about it, right? They can do what they're going to do.
Right, like someone could be
So
like, "Oh, I bought this latest Jeffree Star thing," and then you could say something like, "Hey, did you know he's like a piece of shit towards gay people?"
mhm.
And then they'd be like, "Well, what do you think? I'm a piece of shit towards gay?" No, I'm just letting you know. I'm making you aware. Maybe don't buy any more in the future.
So
Just
it's a
food for thought.
complicated issue, and it's been going on for a lot longer
It's because people are
than just
like
Jeffree fucking Star.
I think many. Well, yeah. I mean, but I just think I was using an example. But I think a lot of people are
Of
just really
course.
like emotionally immature. Like a lot of people have not been able to like grow, and so it's just like, no, I'm not. I'm not saying this about you. I'm just saying like, if you support this, like with the whole fucking Harry Potter video game thing, like Hogwarts Legacy, when like and people are still fucking going on about it, and it's just like the whole situation is fucked. Okay, like the whole
It's such a
situation
hot
is
button
fucked up.
topic. I'm hesitant to even give a fucking like opinion on it because people are so goddamn aggressive about it. You know what I mean?
Right. Like, I mean, and feel free to share any opinions here because that's what we do here. But like, my position on is like, I still there's a positive place in my heart for the world of Harry Potter. I don't like J.K. Rowling. It's doubly it really makes me sad too because I really looked up to her as a kid because I was like, oh my god, she like. I'm a writer. I like writing fantasy, and I want to be just like her. And and so it hurts. It hurts, to know that she created this cool thing that meant a lot to me as a kid and really shaped my path into the occult. So it's upsetting, but there is still I have positive memories of the story, of the fantasy, of where I was in that story. You know what I mean? Like that complete fantasy.
Same.
She wasn't a part of that. And yeah, are there problems written into the world that she wrote? Of course, it's a mirror of our own world with our own problems. It's not a utopia, and that's the point, right?
And
I
like,
just
okay,
I
here's what
didn't
I'm
buy
gonna
the game. I'm not going to play the game because I heard a lot about like also like the sort of anti-Semitism written into the game and this and that, and I'm like, you know what, it doesn't appeal to me that much. I'm not going to drop money on it. Like it just does not tickle my pickle that much to do that. However, if someone bought the game, played the game, and enjoyed the game, whatever, like, okay, I don't really know
I'll
what
give
to
my
say.
take.
Yeah.
I hate Rowling, obviously,
Yeah.
for the damage she has done, right? I'm not even somebody who holds Harry Potter in a place of reverence in my heart. Sure, I read the books when I was a kid. Yes.
Did
Have
you
I
connect
purchased
with
any
them?
materials? Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so you were into
of
them like
course.
when you were a kid, like you're really into it.
I went to fucking like midnight releases.
Okay, so you're a nerd, Harry Potter nerd.
Yeah, like
Potterhead.
and I was of the age where it was kind of embarrassing to go to a midnight release because I was the age that Harry Potter was in the books, right?
Okay,
So
yeah.
when you're like fucking as old as he is in the final book and you're going to get it and people are thinking, isn't this a kid's book? And they're looking at you and you're like fucking like however fucking old I was, I want to say
Yeah.
18, 19. I was 17. I was pretty fucking old about it, right?
Yeah.
It just felt weird, right? And I read the book and I was like, cool, that's the conclusion. It's over. Bye-bye.
Hmm.
And I didn't pine up over it after it was done. To
Mm.
me, Harry Potter was so not, air quotations, not magic,
Hmm.
that I didn't develop an emotional attachment to it.
Hmm.
I have developed more of an emotional attachment to card captors, and card captors, TBH, probably has more of a realistic depiction of magic, in my opinion, because they at least take stock of, like, you know, elements and like various systems between Eastern and Western magic, and like
So it
it
vibed
is
with you
weirdly
more.
syncretic, but pardon?
I was just saying, like, it vibed with you more
Yeah,
than yeah.
yeah. So like, and even then, if card captors came out that it was problematic, I mean, I don't need to drench myself in card captors shit, right?
Right.
But I also, I'm not going after people who like played the game. I don't like. I wouldn't say I don't care. Like, it's obviously like we shouldn't be supporting
Like, it's
a
kind of a bummer.
lady who's overtly transphobic, right?
Right.
But also at the same time, like, who am I to act as an arbiter of moral judgment on other people as though I haven't committed my own fucking problems within capitalism like we all do, right? Like, I think
Mhm.
that we have this proclivity to judge each other really quick. And I talked about this at a party with my friends recently. So many people exist in the modern world disempowered, right?
Yeah.
We don't see justice delivered to powerful people who
You never
wield
do.
their power poorly, right?
Like the
So a
fact
lot
that
of us,
Trump is saying that he's running for president again. How is that possible?
that's
Right.
one
Where's
example
the
among a
justice?
myriad.
Yeah.
But these people who have these reactions, they're hurt, right?
Mhm.
They feel like they don't have agency in the world that they live in. And to see a demographic that they are, or somebody that they care about, being directly attacked by somebody like that and supported, causes a huge amount of emotional distress, right?
Mhm.
So they're going to try and act out to hold the only people within their reach accountable, right?
Right.
It's basic psychology,
Mhm.
right? Very often, if we can't hold the people who design the greater systems responsible, we're at least capable of holding other people within the working class responsible for their complicit agreement in allowing atrocities to happen,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
And in some cases, this rage is entirely justified, right? Like, Black Lives Matter, for example, and all of the like just appalling videos we see of like police just killing black people, just straight up fucking executing them, even like
Mhm.
that deserves every ounce of righteous fury that we have given it 1,000-fold more,
Yeah.
right? We have not given those issues the care and the attention that they truly deserve, right? And
No, we
while
just
those
think we
injustices
can
go on, we look for things that are smaller scale that we feel like we can latch onto,
and
right?
control in
And
some way.
exactly. So
Mm.
when you see your fave streamer or somebody that you know doing something on a platform where your words can actually reach them, whereas opposed to them never reaching a billionaire, it feels like you have some degree of control over the situation. And to be honest, you do,
Mhm.
right? And so people will go and they will lash out at those people who play that game. And I'm not going to say it's not justified, and I'm not going to say it is justified. I'm just stating what happens,
It
right?
is. It
It's not
simply
it's not
is.
my place to tell people what they should and should not do as an emotional reaction to somebody financing the agenda to remove them from the planet. They have every right to act how they want to act in that situation,
Mhm.
right? Um it's complicated. I hold neither animosity for the people doing it nor the people streaming it, right? Um, in a just world, we could hold Rowling directly accountable, but we can't, and
Right.
we haven't yet, you know? So sometimes the only way to affect social change is to apply pressures in the relative regions where we can. And as shitty as that is, sometimes that does mean canceling your problematic fave because it's the closest thing to reaching up the ladder, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes people on the higher ups seeing the ramifications of shit happening on a lower down level will get them to change their behavior.
Sometimes.
Although I don't have evidence for that, nor do I really have anything to corroborate it. It's just like a feeling or an opinion, you know?
Yeah. And
So
sometimes I think people like can be a little, I don't know, because there was a situation that I was reading about where it was like a duo. I think they were like partners, like boyfriend girlfriend duo streamers.
mhm.
They got a copy of the game for free, so probably some promo copy or whatever. So they did not purchase the game. They got a copy of the game for free, and then they were going to then stream the game on their Twitch channel, and then any money that they raised, they were going to then donate to the Trevor Project. That was
Are
their.
you talking about girlfriend reviews?
I think that's what it was. I think that's what it was. I don't watch the channel. This was just like an article that I
Mhm.
stumbled upon. And so I was just kind of reading it. I was like, well, if that was the situation, like face value, like, I mean, their intentions were good, I think. You know,
You're
I think that
still
they had.
platforming something though, right?
Right.
And
You are still
whether
showing
you're
the game.
exactly, and
Yeah.
it still shows up in the Twitch algorithms as people playing the game and
Right.
watching it for the basic purposes of capitalism.
So I think their intentions were good, though, and I don't think they deserved all of the hate that they got. I just think that maybe they didn't see the full picture of what they were doing.
Mhm. And I mean, how could they? Because they're not trans themselves. They're not
Right.
necessarily going to see the greater cause and effect of their actions, right? But
Hmm.
I don't know. To me, if I was a streamer, and I had them offer me that, I would troll them publicly on stream for it, and then not stream their game personally. That's what I would do.
Like if the
So, like, I don't
developer
know.
reached out to you, like,
Yes,
"Hey, you want a copy of
100%.
this game?"
100%. I would troll them publicly on my channel for it.
Hmm.
Because you'd be asking a trans woman to play a trans game on Twitch, for the sake of platforming something for the air quotation review value, right?
Right.
You're still giving it your channel. You're still exposing it to the audience of people who would expect you to play something otherwise, right?
Mhm.
Like, I would absolutely do that and be like, guess what they sent me? Hogwarts
Right.
legacy codes. And I would probably burn it right there on camera in front of them and be like, okay, we're playing Psychonauts, bitches. Let's go.
And that is also like an appropriate response too. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I don't know. I just feel like sometimes we're a little too unforgiving of each other. Like there's layers to everything. I always say this to like Rue all the time, like when we're talking about like different situations. I'm like, there's so many layers and there's so many things at play constantly. And it's not like they're easily seen or easily spelled out. You know what I mean? It's not something you can just easily identify between people. And I just think it's
See,
important to read the subtext
to be honest,
sometimes. Cut out a little bit there. Cutting out.
I realized,
Hmm. Gonna wait for your. You there?
can you hear me now?
Yes, I think you had like a
Much
little
better.
Okay,
little
sorry.
lag spike or something.
Lag spike. You lagged
Yeah.
out, and there was a gap where I thought that I could talk, and then your voice sped up, and I talked over you, and I was like, "Oh shit, sorry." So I waited for you to finish.
You're fine. We didn't really hear anything you said. You sounded like a robot. So what were you saying?
So I think that a lot of people do that kind of stuff simply because they haven't been to therapy, right?
Hmm.
And I'm going to be honest, I think that the whole reason that therapy is inaccessible isn't because it's expensive, it's because
Stigma.
a self-aware, awake, and cognizant populace is not one that's easily controlled or led astray, especially people who are self-assured, actually understand healthy coping mechanisms and how to communicate healthily and network. If everybody had gone to therapy, we would have been capable of organizing networks at this point where we could rely on each other to actively take down the capitalist infrastructure that has been oppressing us all. But because we're oppressed on an individual level, we're constantly obsessed with trying to keep ourselves surviving because that's the only really thing that we're able to work on in our hierarchy of needs is the most base level.
If everybody went to therapy, man, I think we'd be in space. We'd have like space colonies, but
Yes.
like good kind
If
of space
everybody went to
colonies.
therapy,
You know,
we would have already fucking dealt with capitalism. We would be dealing with climate change fucking 20 years ago. And yeah, we would be like
we'd at least have a moon
advancing
colony
the
or
human
something.
condition
Yeah.
rather than like trying to exploit it. Scott, I notice you have unmuted.
Yes, I agree. Firstly, I do want to say too that please stop blaming mental health professionals for it. It's not their fault. They don't control that. They like if you go on
Yep.
YouTube, they will tell you that they hate the system just as much as you do.
Yes.
It's just that for them to do their job, they have to play inside of that system, and they still want to help people. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
people can only do with what they can. Um, insurance companies are to blame, and other people in that vein. They're the ones that make it difficult to access. But I 100% agree. I was doing a lot of research just last night, actually, about the effects of emotional literacy during childhood development,
Mm.
and the reason and how if we were as little young people were
Mhm.
taught to how to be responsive instead of reactive, how to interpret our feelings, how to respond to big and little feelings in appropriate ways. We number one, you would also actually see a reduced um uh, 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 what is it? As you all know, mental health is essentially an epidemic here in the United States.
Mm.
That would the numbers of diagnosable mental illnesses would be significantly reduced.
Mm.
If we actually, according to professionals, it would be significantly reduced if we had some form of proper emotional literacy education. Um, so yeah, I 100% agree.
It's like, but we all can't seem to agree on what the proper emotional response.
Well, the thing is like there's no one wants to, how do I put this? Like there's not a lot of investment. Um,
No.
Scientific study needs a lot of money,
Yeah.
and they sort of have their favorites. We love to put in money into defense.
Mhm.
We have satellites that can look through houses, but
Mhm.
um,
Hello.
but we can't, and I don't know if literally. I'm using that
Oh
as like
no.
a
Or just like,
I don't doubt it.
the FBI agents in our phones, it's
right.
fine.
What I'm saying is like, we have technology to do some scary shit and, for defense. But of course,
Mhm.
when it comes to, I don't know, genetic testing, ethical genetic testing, you know,
Providing shelter for the homeless.
providing,
Yep.
sociological pursuits, so even psychological testing, where there's so many illnesses that we could probably treat if there was enough money going into things. um
Mhm.
we could start to integration programs and things that we need to do to create a better society for everyone for the long run.
Mhm.
We could be studying why certain illnesses do certain things. There's so much that we don't know, you know what I mean, that we could be better spending money and putting effort into. um
I think a lot of the human problem too is like each, like, I guess, era of humanity, like every people collectively thought like this is the pinnacle of human achievement. We can go no further. We are amazing. This is it. Like we are
we're trash.
gods. We're gods. Look at what we're doing. And
No, I
like,
think
yeah.
we've done, don't like, look, I don't want to horribilize, right?
No.
I think we have done incredible things.
And horrible
And I
things.
think we still do incredible things.
Mhm.
The thing is that a lot of those incredible things, like all the technology, for instance, you know how many green, more holistic technologies exist that would actually help us tend to the earth and power the earth in a way that almost has zero footprint. But they refuse because there's more money
And
in
oil.
creating a footprint
Mhm.
than there is in green, more holistic care of the
Right.
earth.
And that's the
Um,
sickness, is this focus on money, which is a concept that we've created. Like money is not real. It's the only thing that's real is the earth in which we stand and live on. So like like what will money give you if there's no planet? Just
mm,
what do you do with all the money
right.
if there's nothing to spend the money on?
You can't
Funny,
eat
I
it,
keep hitting my
you know?
vape and then saying it's vape, but I'm always muted when I do it.
You can't eat money,
You can't eat it.
So
Can't breathe
when it
it.
comes down to it, what Aurora, one of my favorite musicians, she has a song that essentially where she says, when the last tree has fallen and the last river is poisoned, You can't eat money.
Hmm. We
You know.
saw. Oh my god! So we picked up our Fire Stick died. We had a Fire Stick plugged into our TV in the bedroom. It died, so we got a Roku box.
So tragic.
Okay.
Yeah, so we got a Roku and we set that up, and like Roku itself has like it has shows and shit on it. So I was just browsing through, seeing what was there. One was a fucking water tasting competition. Okay,
Nice.
Straight up.
straight up, and
Okay.
I was like, what the fuck is this? So I click it and I watch like the first like 2 minutes of it. It's like this bougie ass
Mhm.
like award show, and people are drinking water out of a fucking like nice wine glass, and they're like, oh, all the big water companies are here. And once they said Nestle, we were like, turn it off. We just like turned it right off. But I was like,
shit.
okay, so there are places like I still do not think that Flint, Michigan has like fucking drinking
Nope.
water, okay,
No.
at this point, and y'all bitches are having a water
Neither
tasting.
does Western PA.
Neither does the reservations in Canada.
Right. Like there are so many places in the quote modern world that do not have drinking water available to them, and y'all motherfuckers are just oh, this water's great. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Also, something that I just remembered about the research I was talking about emotional literacy.
Mm.
The researcher who I was listening to was from Canada, by the way. So yeah, she was cool.
Like one day, like all these country things won't matter. Like I'm Canadian, I'm Russian, I'm from the U.S., I'm from Germany. It ain't gonna matter because aliens are gonna
So-
come.
2 things in response to what you said. One, I'm so from the woods when you said fire stick. I
Oh.
thought you were talking about a stick that you pass around a fire when you're telling stories.
Yeah, I plug it into
Or,
my TV in my bedroom. No, sorry.
Well, I mean, that changed the entire. Also, a fire stick is like a stick that you use to turn the fire, right?
Yeah.
You could call it a poker or a prodder, but I've called it a fire stick plenty of times, right? So
I call it my
mental image
pokey
went
stick.
from
Whenever we're
when
camping,
you
I
said my
always find
fire
a pokey
stick.
stick.
My
Yeah.
mental image went from a campfire. And you said plugged into your TV, and I was like, "Rah!" And it like morphed into a little fucking USB drive. I'm like, yep, this is modern times, all right. And 2, what was the things that you said after that? Water tasting, right?
Mm.
So, near my hometown, there's a area called Greenwood, British Columbia, and you probably saw them sampling water from it because it's consistently rated as one of the best drinking waters in the world. It's buck wild. I sure hope Nestle never gets their hands on it because it's like it basically tastes like melted snow that's never touched the earth.
Mm.
You're like,
Right,
oh,
we're coming.
okay.
Strap in, everybody. Get in the car. Let's go. Scott, we'll be there in like 20 minutes.
Look, I mean, 2 things. First off, this podcast is really small, and I don't mind witches knowing where the cleanest water to drink in the world is.
Right,
'cause
just
we
if
have
you know
use for
anyone at
that.
Nestle, shut the fuck up. Don't say anything.
Nestle
Fuck
already
you,
fucking
Nestle.
knows. Come on, they
Yeah.
tried it at the water tasting thing. What's likely happening is that the area of Greenwood is not allowing them to extract their water because they fucking know better.
Right.
Good.
Anyways, and the second thing, right? It's on the other fucking side of Canada. Like, you remember my hometown's in the middle of British Columbia in the southern interior?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a 46-hour drive from Toronto.
Jesus.
Um,
That's far.
and that's if you only go through Canada. Hang on, let me calculate it.
I wonder.
And
so,
you have to calculate how long it takes to get to Toronto from Philly if you're driving.
Oh. Are you doing it, Ro?
Am I doing it? Yeah, sure.
Okay, so this
No, I
is
I
got it.
would be the one driving it, I guess.
14 hours and 41 minutes. So I'll go 14.41. Okay, and then we're gonna go.
I cannot spell Toronto for some reason. It's like Toronto.
That's
I'm
not
like, that's
bad.
not right.
I got it.
Okay,
You got
It'd
it?
take 8 hours. It's like going to Erie.
From Philly to
Okay.
Toronto? Yeah,
One
that's really
day
not
and
too
Yeah.
3
bad.
hours. Hang
Uh,
on. 1 day and
okay.
3 hours is going to be.
Nothing.
Shit, is that how
What do you
we're...
Oh, just
3
wait,
hours.
just wait. Hang on.
Oh, but right, but then from Toronto to this water source, we shall...
Okay, so how many hours does it take to get to Toronto? Or
So from
8?
Philly to Toronto is 8.
Okay, so we're looking at, for you to drive to here and then for us to meet up and then drive to my hometown would be a 49-hour and 41-minute drive.
Nice.
Nice. That's like where you just rent an RV and you just make it a road trip.
Where's the water again? Where green
And you just trade
something?
off whoever the fuck is driving and play some really deranged music like Mother Mother Bit by Bit. I'm a king up on the mountain.
So wait.
Fuck off all you people on the ground. Yeah.
So where's the water source? Curious.
Greenwood, British
Greenwood.
Columbia.
Oh, yeah, it's like above Washington.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
the other side of the country.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a
hike.
that's a
That's
flight.
Yeah, that's a
That's
flight.
a
It's not a
40.
drive.
That's like I said.
I'll
that's
drive to
Yeah.
Toronto. I'll do that.
That's a 49-hour and 41-minute drive. And now if we double it for a round trip, and I'll also tack on an extra hour because it's driving to Greenwood. So let's double that for a round trip. And you're gonna be driving for 100 hours and 82 minutes. So how many? That would be 101 hours and 22 minutes.
Many, many hours.
Love it.
And many, many minutes.
So yeah.
Yeah, but I
epic road trip
really
time.
hope Nestle never ever gets a hold of that area.
It doesn't matter if they try to, because like the people there have the final say.
So that's what it is, like the local.
We have to do this now, okay? I took time to do the trip and I divided it by 24. And you want to know what I got? 4.20 days.
4.20
days. It's the 420 trip. All right, yeah, we have to plan it now.
Just of driving only, it would be 4.20 days.
Done.
Doing it. All right, I'll go pack.
Try and weed from all across Canada.
All
We'll
right.
make it like a YouTube series.
Summer 2024, which is Betwixt
Road
cross
trip.
country.
You know what,
Sophia
though?
starts singing in a band. Scott has completed therapy and can now form matter with their thoughts alone.
We're leveling up.
She is a successful business owner of a business apothecary, and Rue is smoking fuck tons of weed and really gay still, and has a great career at the same time. Wow.
I smoke a lot of weed and I'm really gay.
Appreciate that, Sophia. I'm gonna manifest that. That was wonderful.
It's my lifelong
Meets
dream.
their idol, Jinx Monsoon, coming 2024.
Manifest your realities. Manifest your dreams.
Take a hit to that.
I'll smoke to that. Yeah. Everybody smoke.
Pro tip for reality manifestation: scrawl your desires on a crystal dildo and shove it deep into thine hindquarters. Just kidding, don't. That's quite toxic.
Yeah, I've actually been reading a lot about, like,
hold on. Thinking about
sounds
it for
great.
2 seconds, if you were to actually use lube to spell out the intents on your dildo, that would actually work.
That's
And
actually
then
not bad.
you drive that shit deep into you, and you manifest an orgasm.
deeply. I mean, honestly, yeah, that's kind of one way to go about it.
That's not a bad idea.
Fuck. And maybe that's
So what did we have
thing that
planned
we
for the
can
rest of the day?
we're gonna create the road opener dildo set with the sigils pre-engraved into it. What?
But So one thing that does need to be noted here, to all the cisgendered heterosexual men
That
are
don't
curious
listen to
about
this
chaos
podcast.
magic, right? But if you do, that is not the entirety of chaos magic. I know you all think so, but it is not. Chaos magic is not
Coming
sitting
in
down with your
with the
Lubriderm
tea.
and your Kleenex.
Oh my god. Okay, but for real though, I know Jay's jaw dropped because he's like, that's our first item is ritual specific dildos.
I'm like, that could be a whole line of things
Yeah.
that we could do.
Like,
and I'm in.
Like have one shaped like death or something and call it the death posture.
Or like you sell bottles of lube that are like charged for specific intents, right? Not that you could put anything in the lube. Like, don't put essential oils in
No.
your lube. Do not fucking do
not.
that.
Do
not.
Do
Full
not put
stop.
crystals in your lube either. Please.
Don't do that.
Unless you put
spices,
like
no
just
herbs,
one really
no
big
nothing.
crystal and it's non-water soluble.
Oh, right. I guess like if. Oh no, Sophia's breaking
Oh.
again. Oh no. Are you there?
Sophia, come back.
Sophia broke again.
Yes. Can you hear me
Okay.
now?
Yes, you're back.
Yes.
Okay. I said unless you want to include one singular non-water soluble crystal inside the bottle that's so big it could never possibly leave, but then it stares at you afterwards, trapped, saying, "Why have you condemned me to die in a prison of a lube bottle?"
Like a rose quartz.
Yeah. You know, just for that extra self-love.
Yeah. Do not put anything in your lube. Do not
We will
do
not
it.
be selling you crystal dildos because of the liability that comes with them.
No, but I might charge you. I might sell magically charged lube. That sounds kind of cool.
For real though, silicone dildos are very safe to make.
Mhm.
And if you can get them to the correct sizes that people want, hint hint, anal stuff sells very well.
Mm.
You can make a lot of money.
I'm curious if you need any special licensing to be an adult purveyor of goods. I don't think so, because they're all really sold as novelties anyway. And because that's
I
what
don't know
I've
about that.
noticed. Because that's what I've noticed. Because like most like adult shops, like a lot of like the products, like they're called
Does
novelty
Bad Dragon
shops.
say for novelty purposes only?
I think
don't think so.
I don't know. I think it might because they can't advertise it as like a health product because it's.
They advertise it as a dildo.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, I think things are sold as novelty.
It's a
like,
sexual wellness product.
Sexual wellness.
The category is sexual wellness.
Okay. Because I noticed a lot with
It's
occult shops and like especially like shops on Etsy or stuff like that. Like any occult shop that has like an online presence, a lot of their products and services they'll say sold as a curio. Sold as a curio. You'll see that on every product listing.
We make no claims to the effectiveness of this insert thing here.
And like
Blah,
I
blah.
think that's because of legal reasons. People have
Putting your
probably
butt
bought
at your own
something.
risk.
Yeah, people have probably like bought this success oil and used it and they were like, "But I'm not successful, so now I'm suing the balls off you." So, whatever.
Mhm.
Not our fault you can't make a spell happen.
Yeah. Right.
You know what? I'm just gonna say, like, there's nothing wrong with buying pre-bought spells if you don't got the ability to like go and procure all your shit. Sometimes, when you're busy, it's nice to get a witch who knows her shit to do it for you, right?
Mhm.
But there's a stern difference between being the person who's purchasing a gree bag and using it, and the person who can make a gree bag who's just not doing it, right?
Right.
And you do get some people who are like, I do all this magic. Look at all this stuff I buy. And it's like, oh, I mean, you are doing magic, yeah. And then
I
it's like they
think-
try and roll up to the big kids table and be like, I'm gonna curse you. And it's like they curse you with like some fucking hexing oil or something, which you know.
No, Sophia broke again.
Cut out again.
You back?
Anybody who just walks by to fucking buy it, right?
Right.
That's dangerous. So of course they're not gonna give you the real
you
shit.
cut out for
And then
a
if
bit.
you're
You cut
And
out for a minute there.
Yeah, we didn't
the
hear
bees.
most. We didn't hear most of what you said, Sophia.
I was just saying that, like, if you're somebody who's buying shit from other witches to make stuff happen,
Mm.
and you're buying like a hexing oil or something like that, you know they're not gonna put full juice into that, because it would be like handing a gun to a toddler, right?
Right.
Like, you're not going to put a high power cursing thing on the fucking shelf pre-assembled for
Right. Yeah, I agree. Unfortunately, you cut out again, but I did hear you at
mixing
the end.
herbs, and I'll throw them at somebody. And if you do that at somebody who knows their shit, it's just going to ping off their wards, and they're going to come and fucking annihilate you.
Yeah, I mean that's probably like a whole separate conversation, but yeah, I feel like if you're buying like a pre-bought
Fuck my
spell,
internet.
yeah, like if you're buying like a pre-bought spell, like using it against another practitioner, especially if it's like something against like a hex or a curse or whatever, it's probably not going to do much against another practitioner. But like as someone at work who's not suspecting of it, or you're trying to whatever your case may be, it's still effective.
I would love to do a whole episode because I could talk about that particular topic a lot.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about that next week.
That would be
I would
really...
like to start getting more into talking about magical topics again too, because like I always like when we have really in-depth theory discussions on the channel, because
Mhm.
like out of all the episodes
Damn.
ones were really
Hang on, you cut out. We lost you.
really
Yeah, we just lost you. Okay,
fucking hang on.
you're back.
I miss theory discussions as well.
Yeah,
I miss talking about
it's
theory
just
and...
so like feel free to like just drop it in the Discord, like, hey, we should talk about this next week. I'm more than happy to talk about whatever.
I really want to talk about this particular thing we're talking about, like like the idea of like buying versus making, like
what are the pros and cons?
Yeah,
Mhm.
because I do have feelings and ideas about it, but I'll
Because
save it for
like
next week.
as a practitioner, as a witch, yeah, I probably shouldn't talk too much more about it because
Yeah,
that'll be a whole extra topic next week.
Yeah.
But we are at an hour and a half, and I know Sophia is struggling deeply with internet connectivity issues, so we should probably wrap things up.
No, it's fine. It's just the spirits fucking being cheeky in my face, and I'm like, listen, fuckers, I will cut you. Let me talk about my shit.
No, we were thinking
No
we were thinking next week maybe we would talk about kind of what we just brought up here, like buying spells versus doing them yourself, and there's a whole lot that we can definitely talk about that. So I think next week we should talk about that for sure. Dedicate a whole hour.
Yeah, that sounds like, I think it sounds great. I have a lot to say on that, actually.
I'll put someone write it in the Discord so we don't forget of what next week's topic is going to be.
Somebody write it down.
Yes, write it down or I will never fucking remember. Ain't never gonna happen.
I'll do the thing.
Yeah. But I think like we've been going for an hour and a half, hour and 36 minutes actually. So we've been talking for a while, but I wanted this to be a little longer. It's our 100th episode. We're still here. You can't get rid of us.
We have to reach at least 100 minutes. We have to reach an hour.
I thought we were gonna do
minutes.
like a 2-hour episode or something. Fucking feature-length film shit.
Right. Honestly, most people don't listen to our full 2-hour episodes. Most people drop off at about 30 to 45 minutes. So honestly, if we did like a 30-minute podcast, like everyone would listen to the whole thing, probably in one go. But with the way that we are, I don't think we would cover much in 30 minutes.
You say that, but I imagine if we had a 30-minute podcast, we'd have the same amount of drop-offs, but just at different intervals.
Maybe they would only go like 15-20 minutes in. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that actually does trend to happen. Like anytime you try to match what people want from you, they change their standards. So it's
because isn't like the sweet spot for YouTube videos like 3 to 5 minutes? Isn't that still like the ideal?
It's at least 10 minutes because then you can monetize.
Like 10 to 15 actually.
YouTube benefits the most from long-term formats, right? Because you can get one person watching something for an extended period of time, and long-form videos, if you don't have YouTube Premium, will often feature multiple ads at different intervals, right? So a singular video can then be given for multiple ad run spaces, right? And it's
I just wanted to throw this out there. I don't know. I'm not sure of all of YouTube's ad policies. I do not monetize the videos on YouTube. I do not select ads to display on them because I hate ads. And the fucking 10 cents per bazillion views, it's just not fucking worth it. are like the penny that you get per whatever million views.
If we had like 100,000 subscribers, it'd absolutely be worth it.
Yeah,
But,
just for that
like, we are
residual sort
not
of
at the
income.
levels.
Yeah, and I don't want to inundate people with ads just for me to make 25 cents over the course of 10 fucking years. So no, that's not going to happen.
TBH, I'm not too worried about it if you did. Ad block exists for a reason.
Right.
People have an
But
option to utilize it.
if ads do pop up on our videos, I do want to know, because then I'm going to do a little bit more research into maybe do I not have settings set correctly, because I do not have anything monetized and ads showing, and I think as long as I don't click that option, no ads should display on our videos,
The
either
thing that always
before or
makes me
after.
nervous about
Incorrect.
No?
What platform are we talking about
YouTube
specifically? Twitch or
specifically.
YouTube?
YouTube.
No, they can put ads on your content.
So
it's
they
just they don't
can?
have. Yeah, they can put them on there. It's just you won't get paid for them.
Angry.
Yeah,
I'm going to look more into
unfortunately.
this. But maybe then I should just put, I don't know, whatever. I'll think about it. I'm sorry
that
for
makes
anyone
me-
who has to deal with an ad. Use an ad blocker. They're fucking great.
Honestly,
Yeah. Fuck
thing that
ads.
makes me
ad blocker
uncomfortable with
since 2008, baby.
What'd you say, Scott?
thing that makes me really uncomfortable with YouTube ads is that I've seen way too many times like LGBTQ plus creators and like witchy pagan occult creators. They'll put like I mean I don't know
Churchy,
if they're doing it
conservative
on
ads.
purpose, but
Yeah.
it'll be like conservative or churchy or
Mm.
Jesus-y type stuff that feels very condescending.
It's like
I'll
the
use that
opposite of what the video was about. So it's like, this is
Right.
not the target audience for this ad, so fuck you. You know?
Right. Right. And it almost feels intentional, although I doubt it is, but yeah.
Right. It makes you
You know.
squint your
Hold
eyes and
on,
go,
you can actually find verifiable evidence where YouTube will advertise in ways like this on purpose, and how
can you?
people have run afoul of the algorithm simply because, I thought, never mind. Simply because, like, say they'll post Jordan Peterson takedown stuff, and they'll talk about how problematic he is, and then that person will then get funneled into communities like alt-right stuff, where those people then engage with that video in a negative way, because the algorithm doesn't necessarily sort out a critique video from a praise video.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot to it. It's not black and white. And like a cool channel to check out is Climate Town, because they talk about stuff like this. Like when I was talking about corporate astroturfing in another episode, I learned that from Climate Town. And also they talk about this kind of stuff too, right? So I'd have to go back and look up the video to find the reference, to be honest, but yeah.
Well, check that
Well, that
out.
makes me feel icky, but okay.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe after this, I'll look in our YouTube settings and see. But yeah, if anyone comes across any particular problematic like shit ads that play on or before our videos, let me know. I'm curious. I would like to know if that ever pops up, and use an ad blocker.
See if I can find it right now, really quickly.
What the channel you're talking about?
The video on Climate Town. The news media is selling you out. I think that's the one. There's also the troll army of big oil, which I talked about on here, which is how corporate astroturfing works. I can directly link that to the show notes for everyone, because it's
I have
hella
not
recommended watch.
been updating show notes. The show notes are just a flat template. It's because it's too much to go back, and we never really were organized with our show notes channel. It doesn't really work. So just anyone who's listening, that's the YouTube channel to go search. I'm sorry, there's no links in the show notes.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's just a lot to keep up with, because by the time I get to uploading it, I'm like, wait, what was that thing? Now I gotta go back, and it's like
the reason I would post directly when doing it is because it timestamps it when you post, so you can see the day that it was done, and it should be relative to when the episode was recorded. But
yeah, it requires a lot of back and forth and going back. But that's the YouTube channel.
I hear you.
Yeah, pretty much type it in, find it out.
So don't be surprised if we get church videos playing on our shit because YouTube does that.
Well,
Right. So yeah, if we do, I'd like to know. So definitely bring that to my attention. Any kind of concluding thoughts here for today's 100th episode of We're Not? We may go on hiatuses. Shit happens and life happens, but I have no desire or whatever
Yeah,
to
we're
stop.
not gonna stop. Yeah,
Mm-mm.
we're like,
No.
there's like always. If we go on a hiatus, always just expect a return.
Yeah, we'll be back.
There's no conversations between any of us of stopping or leaving or any of that. So
Mm-hmm. Business as usual. Gaily forward, right? Gaily forward.
gaily.
oh, always.
Mhm.
To the next
The closing
100.
thoughts. Clothing thoughts. Land back, Io Hecate, Black Lives Matter.
Ave Babylon.
Overthrow your local corporate overlords.
Maybe run
Smash
for
the
office.
patriarchy. Fuck capitalism.
Run for
Io
office, maybe,
Hecate.
if that's your thing. Give that a whirl. Maybe that'll work.
Mhm.
Sounds good to me. Well, with that, we will wrap up today's episode. Someone post in the Discord of what we're going to talk about next week, so we don't forget.
Thoughts on it.
And
They
I
remember the
actually I
topic.
didn't know where to post it to, so
In our
I just
inner
sent it
circle.
to your Facebook.
Oh, that's fine too. But you just
I was
put
like,
in
I don't know
the
what channel to put it in.
just the inner circle channel. That's the one
Okay,
like
that's
just
the
for all.
one I was. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
I was
that's-
right then. I second
That's
guessed.
where the inner circle stuff happens. God. Okay. So with that, thank you everyone for hanging out with us. Here is to 100 more. We will drink and we will smoke to that.
Woo!
Wahoo. Alrighty. We will see you guys in the next
Wabadoo.
one. Bye.
Bye.
Sick.